Welcome. It's another fast break with Club Hoops. I was gonna say AKA. I was like, well, I guess I don't need to say AKA. This is Club Hoops. It's not an
It
AKA.
is.
There is no
No,
also known as. And it
no.
is a women's basketball podcast that is hosted by a father-daughter duo.
Indeed it
That's
is.
what it is.
And it is what it is.
I'm Natalie Franklin. Who are you?
I'm Gregory Franklin. I'm the father.
Perfect. No intro is
Thank
going to
you.
be perfect. As long as I'm involved, I will mess up. I will
It's
mess up.
it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's
Thank you.
cool.
Appreciate the understanding. Today we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
talking about Asia Wilson, also known as Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, and as of this morning, Associate Press's Athlete of the Year. We are,
Big shout out to Asia.
we are Las
Big
Vegas
shout out to
Aces
Asia.
fans, but I think I speak for my dad when I say we're Asia Wilson fans, first and foremost.
We are. Yeah.
Like if Asia for some reason does not resign with the Aces, I will too be leaving. I too will be taking my talents somewhere
Well,
else.
there's no reason she shouldn't resign.
Right.
So we shouldn't see that.
Even with if they get the new max deal with the CBA negotiations, they will be giving Asia Wilson the max. Unless for some
Guaranteed.
reason she just wants to play
Yeah.
somewhere else. But I couldn't imagine where else she would want to play at this point.
Now, her resume dictates max.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Um, we're going to talk about the Time Magazine article. It was a very robust article. It sounded like they had been working on it for a while, at least since the parade. So we're going to get into that. There's some Caitlin Clark things, of course. Of course, there is. And we're going to talk about that. I'll just say my first impression, or after reading the article, that it's just very clear that we're setting the stage for Asia Wilson to be talked about from this point forward as the GOAT, as one of the best players to ever play in the WNBA, currently best player in the world. It is really setting the tone for that going forward.
yeah, I think. Well, let me say this. I think the tone was already there. I think now it's just being communicated broadly. I mean, after it's hard for me to believe that after her third MVP and their after the second championship that she wasn't mentioned, in the GOAT discussion as being quote unquote the GOAT. So it's amazing how, and you're sort of a media person. It's amazing how the media picks and chooses its places to kind of go to war with public opinion. So anyway, it was a decent article. A decent article.
And I think my point of view is I agree with you. They probably should have always been positioning her as the
Yeah,
GOAT, as the
yeah,
face of the league. But I think
yeah.
now I don't think the media is able to play that game anymore. Right now it's undeniable. But also
That's
it
right.
puts the onus on the league to start positioning Aja Wilson as the face of the league. The league has a huge marketing and PR problem in general. Like I don't even think they marketed, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige, like their premier rookies. I don't even think they kind of did that right. But I like that point you made that, even though it seems like the media's finally caught up to the conversation, everyone else that's been witnessing Asia's greatness for a while now has already been having the GOAT conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, these Time Magazine in general, and I don't know if you were going to go here right now, but they packed quite a bit into that article.
Yeah. It was
They packed
robust.
quite a bit. Yeah, they
It's a
packed quite a
lot.
bit into that article. It wasn't just quote unquote about the athletic times of the year person. It was
Life
some
story.
sort of it was some cultural, it was some motivational built in there. They packed quite a bit in, quite a bit.
Was the life and times of Asia Wilson. I
Yep,
also want to mention
absolutely.
before we move on that she's also been named to the host committee of next year's Met Gala. And Beyonce is the co-chair. So that's very exciting for Asia, who is a big Beyonce fan.
Okay, okay,
Good for her. Which means
nice.
Asia and Bam will be on the Met Gala red. Bam might not be. If he has playoffs, he probably not might not be there. But Asia definitely will be on the red carpet. So can't wait to see that.
Well, the way Miami is playing, he'll be there. He will be there.
Bam, get your stylist now,
Yeah,
babe. You're gonna
yeah,
make
yeah.
it.
He will be there. Start getting your wardrobe together because, yeah, it's
No
gonna be tough.
shade, but y'all will be there. I remember when Carmelo was playing, and like every year he was able to go to the Met Gala.
Yeah,
I was like,
unfortunately.
I know Carmelo wishes, like, I wish I could say, oh, I've got playoffs, I can't go. No, Melo made the Met Gala every single season.
Yep, yep, yep. And the way Miami looked against Orlando last
Oh
night,
my God, right?
yeah, he will be there.
They didn't get to Vegas. Couldn't
They did
get
not
to
get to Vegas.
Vegas. But the Time magazine article, it's a big deal because number one, that's global recognition for women's basketball. It's the actually the second year that a WNBA player has been named Athlete of the Year. Caitlin Clark was the year before, I believe.
Yep,
Great
yep,
representation for women's sports, great representation for women's basketball and the WNBA.
yep,
Historic. Let's just break down Asia Wilson's historic 2025 season. Off top, WNBA champion, times 2025 Athlete of the Year, WNBA MVP for the fourth time, WNBA Finals MVP a second time, Defensive Player of the Year, third time. Scoring title, second time. AP Female Athlete of the Year. All WNBA first team, her fifth time. All defense first team, her fourth time. All star, seventh time. Peak performer in scoring. She became the first player in the WNBA history or NBA history to win a championship and simultaneously claim the scoring title, League MVP, Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Additionally, she became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 5,000 career points. She led the Aces from a mid-season slump to a championship, including a 16-game win streak and final sweep. She delivered a buzzer beater in the finals, game 3, that became an iconic moment. What a resume just for 2025.
yeah. That's incredible.
And
That's incredible.
right, and nobody is doing it like her in their respected sport. I'm saying that to the people who thought that man from the Dodgers should have been Athlete of the Year. Um,
Good. Say his name.
I don't wanna say his
Say
name
his
because I don't wanna
name.
mispronounce it and people come for me, so you say his
Shohei
name.
Shohei Ohtani.
Right. Shohei
Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani wasn't doing any of this year in his
Yeah.
respected sport. He actually had kind of not the best performing year, although he did win the World Series, him and the Dodgers, who I cannot stand. Uh, the Giants will be back. Buster Posey's rebuilding that team. We'll be back. New
As
manager.
as
We'll be
mm,
back.
as we know, I am a Dodger fan, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah,
They still have their team intact,
not
so it's going to
impossible.
be hard.
But of course,
Not impossible, but it will be hard.
we're up against a scheme that Todd set up because the Dodgers, we all know what's going on over there. Okay.
What?
There's a lot of Chauncey Billupin over there, if you know what I mean.
Well, they've cleaned that up.
I'm sure they
Everything is
did.
good.
I'm sure
It's
they
all
did.
cleaned up. There was a huge misunderstanding.
If
There
Chauncey
was problems in
I guess
translations.
if Chauncey Billups was doing, for the Blazers what Otani was doing for the Dodgers, I'm sure they'd clear it up for him too. He wouldn't have to sell
Mm,
his house to get out of his
well
situation.
well,
Allegedly.
again, Chauncey has not been convicted of
That's
anything.
exactly right, and all this is alleged for
These are
entertainment purposes only.
it's allegations only.
Right, you're absolutely right. What are we talking about?
Only.
What are we saying? Um, Asia Wilson is just an amazing, amazing player, amazing person, but what she's doing with the culture of basketball, with the A1s that sold out, and even NBA players are wearing them. The A2s are going to come out soon. I think that is just an amazing thing she's been doing. I think we haven't seen a player in the WNBA have this much cultural impact ever. obviously that's thanks to social media and where we are right now, just,
Right.
you know,
Right.
with the way information is distributed, where you can we're constantly being bombarded with things. And I think that's been to the advantage of all women's sports, but obviously we're talking about the WNBA. I think it's helping other players like Angel Reese as well when she's coming up and getting her endorsements and things like that. It's just nice to see not only Asia, but other players in other parts of the culture, right? I think Paige and Angel just had this like collaboration with Reese's Pieces and Oreos, like something like that. It's random, but get your coin. Um, is there any story in particular, or any moment in particular in this article, Dad, that stood out to you that you read and you're like, "Ah, I didn't know that," or, "Oh, that's interesting."
Well, I didn't know, so coming up, she was dyslexic.
Mhm,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that initially she had no interest in basketball. It
mhm.
was piano, ballet, and that good stuff.
Yeah.
So that I found to be, and other folks probably who follow her a lot closer than I do, probably knew that. But I found that to be very, very interesting because you're talking about a person, who at a young age had to overcome something other than, sports. Because being dyslexic, I have a family member who's dyslexic, and I know the challenges in education when you have dyslexia. So I found that to be, an interesting point. And so, yeah, the piano and ballet stuff and all of that. I think I'm not as surprised because that's something that back then I think folks wanted the kids to play the piano and if they were musically inclined. But the dyslexia piece was one. The other was just once she decided she wanted to play, and put the work in, became, a top recruit in high school, and, then decided she was going to go to South Carolina. I find all of that running alongside of, yeah, I got to get through school as well. That was something that really got my attention for sure.
Yeah, I think I knew that stuff just 'cause, Asia will sustain, knew that, but what I found, I think for me, the thing that stood out for me, or what I quote unquote "didn't know," is that she checks her phone at halftime to see Staley's text her. And I think
Oh, I saw that.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." Like, obviously, knew they talked, don't get me wrong, but I thought maybe post-game, or I didn't know it was, like, in real time, Dawn is, like, at halftime, Dawn, the way Dawn talks to her, right? "You guys suck." I think she mentioned after that Lynx game, Dawn told her, "You guys suck." And I like that they have that relationship of being so blunt and
Yeah,
direct, or, like, she said sometimes at halftime, Dawn will text her, "You're blending in," right? And Dawn's message to her since she's been coaching her is, "You need to stand out." And that's a nod to Asia's greatness and talent. She's like, you're Asia Wilson. Why are you blending in?" Um, Although it made me wonder, like, do you text Aaliyah Boston at halftime too? Maybe like chill out with the elbows. Like, hey, that's a foul. Just kidding. But I found that very interesting. I also found it interesting that her and Bam connected at the Tokyo Olympics. That was during COVID.
yeah,
Um,
4 years ago.
yeah, I don't know when I thought they met. Like, basketball people, you just think people just know people. But I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And um, I'm glad they're, I mean, obviously selfishly, I'm glad that they're at a point where they're a little more open with their relationship and letting the public in on little moments. So that was cool. I was surprised to see quotes from Gabrielle Union in this article. Pleasantly
I
surprised.
I wasn't given Dwayne Wade's relationship with Bam and given Gabrielle being Gabrielle, so I wasn't surprised with any of that. I don't think. I was surprised about the 4 year thing. I was definitely surprised in terms of relationships. I was definitely surprised that you know Bam was giving quote unquote advice, or analyzing the team's play and giving that back to her in a very raw way,
Right.
and then giving her advice on how to go forward. That part was somewhat, kind of like you got to be careful with that, right? So you don't mixing business and pleasure and that kind of thing. So I was some, but obviously they have a close relationship,
Yeah, I just
a
took it as
very close
two
relationship.
two basketball players, and, he's playing at a professional level. That's advice you want. and he told her after the Aces lost by like 50 something to the Lynx, like, your team has no fight in them. Which what's
Yeah.
she gonna say? Yes, we do. You just lost by 50 something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think if you have a partner that's in the same job as you kinda appreciate those moments. I mean, they train together, although he's really hard on her, no easy baskets, it sounds like, and
Yeah.
she has to
Yeah.
kinda tell him to take it easy, but, I mean, she gives it right back to him when she's making more shots than him, she's like, "Look, I'm making more shots than you, what's going on?" So I
Yeah.
think they have a nice thing going in that respect. I think everyone cheers for Bam and Asia, so, and I think they did a really good job of keeping their privacy and easing the public into their relationship and having a strong foundation before they went so public, therefore, you don't really need the opinions of other outside opinions, right? And, I mean, like you said, they've been dating for 4 years, and other people are just now finding out about
Yeah.
them, so I think that's great. Then
Yeah. These the celebrity relationships are tough, because once the public gets involved, you're scrutinized. The paparazzi are taking photos. The rumor mill gets started. I saw Bam do this. I
yeah.
saw Asia do this. So they did a great keeping this, at the level they kept it for 4 years. They did a great job.
I saw Bam at Magic City last
A
night
great eating wings,
eating wings.
lemon pepper
Eating
wings,
wings and
right?
getting a
Yeah,
lap dance.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think it was interesting that this article chose to bring up Caitlin Clark. It's like, dear God, can we just? But I will read the quote. It says, her rocket ship run comes at the opportune time. In 2024, Caitlin Clark's rookie season helped the WNBA hit milestone TV and attendance figures. But Clark's emergence created a toxic, racially divisive narrative that she was almost singularly, yes, I said that right, singularly responsible for salvaging a league whose foundation had been built by a mostly Black player base. This storyline bothered Wilson, who in 2024 earned her third WNBA MVP award and her second Olympic gold medal in Paris, where she was named tournament MVP. She says, it wasn't a hit at me because I'm going to do me regardless. I'm going to win this MVP. I'll win a gold medal. Y'all can't shake my resume. It was more so, let's not lose the recipe. Let's not lose the history. It was erased for a minute, and I don't like that because we have tons of women that have been through the grimiest of grimy things to get the league where it is today. The 2025 WNBA campaign provided a measure of vindication for many players. Despite Clark's missing most of the season with an injury, something Wilson, to be clear, did not cheer, viewership for both the regular season and postseason was up 5 to 6% on a per game average across ESPN networks. Sometimes you need proof Sometimes you need a proof in the pudding, says Wilson. The biggest thing for us and why I was so happy is that we continue to rise to the occasion. This was just a matter of time for us to really bloom and blossom because we have been invested in each other and our craft for a very long time. And it was just like they're going to pay attention. I think this section got misinterpreted by obviously Caitlin Clark fans. And let me just say this, every fan base, it seems like, especially with the internet, has a toxic segment. Like not every Caitlin Clark fan is a racist. Not every Caitlin Clark fan is insufferable. But there's this little segment of barbs. Like Caitlin Clark has her own barbs, like Barbs, Swifties, Beehive. Barbs are the worst. So I'm going to use Caitlin Clark barbs. There are barbs that are delusional, yes, racist, and somehow misogynist, which how that happens, I don't know. And this segment does not watch women's basketball. They just watch or they're aware of Caitlin Clark, and that's all they know.
Mhm.
I
Right.
think this part of the article more so spoke to the media versus even those fans. It took it easy on those fans. It was mostly talking about the media's perception, how the media painted this picture, or the narrative rather. The media paint this picture that Caitlin Clark came to save the WNBA, or the WNBA is only good now because of Caitlin Clark. It really disrespected not only the players that are currently playing, but like Asia said, the players that have, given their blood, sweat, and tears to this game before the accolades, the all the attention, before the charter flights, right? Before all that. And while we can always praise Caitlin Clark for her being Showtime, the excitement she brings, the new
Yeah.
eyes she brings. The
Yeah. Yeah.
product has always been good. The product
Yeah.
has always been good.
Absolutely.
Also, I wanna point out that Caitlin Clark needs people to play. I don't
That's right.
understand why you
That's
wanna
right.
get rid of players. She needs to for this game to work, you need someone to play. And
Yeah.
it just felt like at a time when she first came in that the conversation around Caitlin Clark and the current players, black players, was so toxic. Even some of my favorite players, like Charles Barkley, even contribute to these toxic conversations of, oh, these women are just jealous, which I had never heard a single player say anything bad about her. They were just like, "Cool, she's coming to the league. See you there." I think they expected the players to be excited about her. That's their competition. And I feel like these type of things only happen in women's sports. I feel like it only happens really in the WNBA. No one was telling everyone they need to be happy about Cooper Flag coming to town.
Right.
Like,
Right.
no one was telling everyone they needed to kiss Wimby's behind, or y'all should be grateful that Wimby's here. Like, it just is such a woman sports specific issue. And I think Caitlin Clark, to her credit, she's been very vocal about, my favorite player's Maya Moore. I give credit to people that came before me because that fan base and that weird media narrative made it seem like, the WNBA didn't have any talent before she came to town. And I also think, and this article didn't really touch on that either, it's the erasure of Angel Reese. People were excited
Mm.
about Angel Reese too. I mean, she got made fun of for saying, I want you to recognize that people are coming to see me too. And it's
Yeah.
true. They're moving games for Chicago Sky. They got to move arenas for Paige Beckers. Like why aren't we talking about Paige Becker? She's probably more popular than Angel and Caitlin, if we're being real about it. And I've already told you
Yeah.
my theory on that. I think it's because she's gay. She's always going to be more popular than WNBA,
Yeah.
even if it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Even if mainstream media won't prop her up, or if WNBA won't prop her up. Those fans, those Paige Becker fans, loyal. Oh my god! And the good thing about Paige Becker fans, she doesn't have a toxic segment in her
Yeah.
fan base.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Much like Mariah Carey, if I go back to my musical comparison, the Lambs aren't toxic. The barbs are toxic. The lambs are good. But then you got those barbs. So it's the same thing. But I just feel like people interpreted this section and thought that Asia was like not giving Caitlyn her flowers, or saying like, who was and I think she was just making it clear that, the whole league is talented. We all have something to offer. And
Right. That's right.
our talents, our skills, what we've done and past players have done shouldn't be diminished.
Yeah, yeah. So I totally agree with everything you said.
Mhm,
I want to add another piece to it though, because again, being older, seeing, this sort of, we're going to take a player and make that player the marquee player of our league, and then we'll get a following, and then we'll build on this. I've seen it when Magic and Bird came to the league.
mhm. Good
You
example,
know,
good example.
you had superstars in this league. You had in the NBA. But Magic and Bird were coming, and they're going to save, quote unquote, save the league. And Magic quickly, Bird and Magic both, I should say, quickly became marquee players. Quickly became marquee players. In fact, you saw the NBA shift its focus to, we want to focus on the players now. Put them up as stars, and that's going to be our main attraction. Then we saw it in golf. Tiger Woods came, and Tiger brought a certain sort of segment with him as well. And then finally PGA said, we're gonna highlight Tiger's matches and tournaments, and because we know he's a draw.
Mhm.
Where the WNBA stepped in it, and I don't know if this is Kathy, I don't know if this is board of directors, owners, or whatever. They totally mismanaged the message of Caitlin Clark. As I mean, Caitlin has talent, big time star, box office, sales tickets like you would not believe. To insert her in an established league where you have established stars, and I go to Breonna Stewart, Asia Wilson, yeah, on top of my list for sure. You basically stepped on those folks and said, "You're out now. This is the new person." That
Yeah.
message could have been delivered a little bit better. And to Caitlin's credit, she never bought in any of that.
Mhm.
She never said, "I'm here now. Bow down."
Yeah, yeah.
She just played her game.
Yeah.
to her credit.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
was to be somewhat uncomfortable for her too, because that narrative that was out there, that message, I'm sure she's like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah,
And that created, in my opinion, that created the toxicity. The media then, in which case, predominantly the major networks ran with this as, Caitlyn is here, blah, 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 she's great, she's going to save the league, this, that, and the other. And to me, they too misinterpreted, I think, the moment.
right.
They misinterpreted the moment. So you had all this kind of stuff happening that was just weird and unmanaged, which makes the case as to why is Kathy still in her job. But the article, journalism has changed so much over the years.
Clickbait.
The article, exactly, the article, you put Caitlin Clark's name in an article, and people who are searching for Caitlin Clark will find that article. That's one of the articles that will come up. So now I got clicks. I got clicks. I got people reading the article. Maybe people who would never have read the article are now reading the article. So they've kind of used Caitlin's name, for those things. That article, decent article, could have been written a lot better, in my opinion. So you have her name in there in that way. You have these stats about viewership being up. So it's not Caitlin that's driving viewership, it's all of us. And that article could have been written in such a way to focus on the accomplishments of Asia. Her history, I like. I didn't know she had the dyslexia. I didn't know she was, teased in school. All these kind of things. I like the history, but you didn't have to like frame that particular paragraph in a way of, well, you see, she was here, but it's really not her. It's all of us and the ladies that came before her. This, that, and the other. Why say that?
Right.
Why even get into that?
Right.
For one reason and one reason only. I need people to find Caitlin Clark, and when you find her, you'll find my Times article.
Yeah. And full disclosure,
So,
I will be using Caitlin Clark in the title of this video because I too need people to watch this video. So
indeed,
please understand
indeed,
that's what's going on. And if you are
yeah,
here because of that, hello. I know her
yeah,
barbs are
indeed,
just sitting in a dark basement searching and
yeah.
ready to fight. So
Yeah, yeah.
welcome.
No, I mean, you have to understand the business of the business, and it is sports entertainment. And when Mark Cuban first bought the Mavericks, that's what he talked about. He asked the other owners, "What business do you guys think you're in?" One of them said, "Oh, we're in basketball." No, you're not. You're in entertainment. It's the entertainment
Exactly.
business.
Right.
So,
We're here to
so
sell tickets. We're here to build storylines.
That's
Um,
that's that's it.
yeah,
That is all we're here for. So, I mean, I get it, and I put most of that, if there is any blame to be placed anywhere, on the person who wrote the article. Granted, I know what she's trying to do.
yeah,
Okay, I get that. Probably didn't do a great job of placing that paragraph where it should be, or even taking Asia's words and doing them a different kind of way. But nonetheless, that's the sign of the times.
yeah,
That's what we're doing today.
yeah.
We're dropping names in articles to get people to, when they do searches or they go to Chat GPT, it sends them this information. And oh, you put Caitlin Clark in. Well, here's the Times article. Here's the AP announcement that she's, female athlete of the year. That's what we're seeing, in journalism these days and media.
Exactly. And I think to your point about the WNBA stepping in it, which I agree with, they try to exploit the toxicity of Caitlyn versus Angel. And to your point of the
Indeed.
Bird versus Magic, I think they when they did kind of market it, it was always like, oh well, the season opener is the Fever against Chicago on ABC, and it's like you're not playing necessarily off matchups because they don't play the same position. So it's
Right.
not a matchup. You're just playing off the toxicity that kind of leaked in from the college games.
Yep. Yep.
Which by the way, and this is no shade to Caitlyn. Caitlyn didn't win anything. Like this was not like a rivalry. Yeah, there's a little hand gesture that's the only reason we're still here. If Angel would have
Yeah.
never did this to Caitlyn, we wouldn't even be talking about Caitlyn and
Yeah.
Angel, but
Yeah.
that happened. The WNBA wanted to try to exploit that or keep even into the we were in their second season, and they're still trying to make this Caitlyn versus Angel, narrative, I hate saying that word,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
narrative, storyline,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping we don't take that into the 3rd season,
Yeah.
please,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I just think it was I think the point you're making, and I agree, it was a little unfair to Asia to put Caitlin Clark in this article.
Well, it is unfair, and to your point about and my point, the WNBA stepping in it. Last season, the Liberty and the Lynx gave us an outstanding championship playoff series. You'd think that game would have been the premier game that we'd focus on at the beginning of this season, the
Right,
2025.
right.
It wasn't. We're still talking about Caitlin and Angel. So again, the league has to get itself together. And I think once they get themselves together, the media will follow. But I just feel like there's been a mismanagement of message that has leaned toward disrespecting the players that were already here prior to the arrival of Caitlin and Angel. I mean, I think they may have learned a little bit with Paige because I thought Paige should have been celebrated a little bit more as she came into the league. But maybe they've learned. Maybe they've learned. But you can't, if I'm Caitlin's folks, you can't continue to put me in difficult situations and make me the catalyst for controversy, make me the point of disruption. If I'm her, because I haven't done anything. I'm not the person out here making crazy statements. I'm not the person. I'm playing my game, and you continue to put me in difficult situations. And again, another case as to why Kathy should be talked to.
Well, I think Nafisa Collier did that too, kinda use that to her advantage, right? Like, "Well, Kathy said Caitlyn should be grateful. What do you guys
Right,
think of
right,
that?" She knew that would
right.
get the barbs going. Get the barbs going, but I think I yeah, I just wish they would have left her out of the article, but I get it, like you said, that's the media business that we're in right now,
It's
some
the business.
clickbait, things like that, but overall, I think Asia made a great point about, just the league as a whole being talented, as the league as a whole being worthy to be watched, and how, even though Caitlyn was injured and wasn't able to play, they were able to maintain viewership, which speaks to the interest of the game as a whole. Like
Yeah,
no one's saying she shouldn't have fans or more fans or you guys should only watch, but it's just speaking to and what I think was, and they kind of said this in an article, it's just a perfect orchestration. Just everything happened at the time that it was supposed to happen. Caitlyn went
right.
off, Angel won the title, then you come to
Yep,
the league, Asia's doing big things and getting better. The talent in the NBA, or excuse me, the WNBA is at probably the best it's ever been because the game is so fast, the game is so physical. It's just like the perfect storm or a beautiful orchestration. So it just speaks out everyone's doing their part to grow the game, which another phrase
yeah.
I hate. Um, that I just use. Grow the game, grow the game. I think at one point I was
Look,
like, ungrow the game, please.
look,
Ungrow the
look,
game.
look. Everyone's doing so well. I was on TikTok scrolling, and I saw the Mystics owner talking about the Time magazine's cover should have been League of the Year.
Mm.
Did you see that? I don't
No,
know
I
if you
didn't.
saw
I
that.
didn't. I feel like
It
I
was
feel like
my
that was
it
last
was
someone said that last year too, but go ahead.
Well, it's mind blowing to me because her thing was it takes the focus away from individuals and put it on the league. This league is doing very well without that kind of accolade, right?
Yeah.
This league is doing exceptionally well. So you need to continue to have these individual awards because I think people tune in for that as well. But I again, there's an educational component that the owners, um, I, I'm thinking now the front office, of the board of directors, whomever of the WNBA need to have. They need to have a conversation with Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, on how to grow and sustain your league and protect the shield. Because owners out there popping off like that, that's not helpful either. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that while the players have grown significantly in talent, skills, and ability, the management team, the executive management team and organization in and of itself of the WNBA has a ways to go.
Yeah, they do.
They have quite a ways to go.
Like I said, they don't know how to market their marquee players. Like, I should be just like the NBA does. I should be watching Asia Wilson almost every night. The way I have to watch the Lakers because LeBron's over there. I should have to watch the Aces just as much because of Asia. The New York Liberty because Brianna Stewart and Saab is over there. Oh,
Yeah.
that same person. No, yeah, Brianna Stewart and Sabrina. I should have to watch them. I should be tired of watching them. I get the
Yeah.
Indiana Fever, the Caitlin Clark of it all. Fine. I understand that. Fine. We'll watch it. But that's how what they need to do. They need to have superstars. You just don't know about them because again, the WNBA does a horrible job of platforming their players. And I will agree with the
Absolutely.
Barbs, the Caitlin Clark Barbs on that. They really fumbled her rookie season. I feel like they could have did some more things with her.
Yep. Yep.
Um
Yep.
it's just it's odd that they do not platform their play. Paige Beckers got the most votes of a rookie for the All-Star game. You didn't hear a peep about that.
Yeah.
I think they might have mentioned it on socials, but they didn't talk about that enough. Like you said, they have a long way to go in marketing and promotion. Yeah, they might want to talk to the NFL about it. I don't know what Adam is doing, what advice he's giving or not giving. Um, it's just, they've got a lot of they've come a long way, but we have more to do. With that being said,
Oh,
I think Asia Wilson has solidified long before this article, but I just wanna say it solidified her place as the face of the league. Um, I don't know how you cannot think of her as the face of the league. This is her league, 110%. She says she thinks she has 3 more MVPs in her, so that's Michael Jordan status.
that would be MJ status.
Let's get
And you have to remember too, the thing about goatness,
okay.
being goated, you know, it's almost like what's the Cinderella thing, right? When the mirror mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of them all kind of thing. There's always somebody that comes along that's better than you at some point in time. So for today, at this point in WNBA, I think she is the GOAT. Cynthia Cooper was my GOAT for a long time.
Right, right.
She was my GOAT for a long time, Cynthia Cooper.
Cynthia Cooper and
And
Cheryl Swoops, I think, were I have my favorite players, but when I think GOAT, it's definitely somebody on the Comets, and it could be Cynthia, Cheryl, or Tina. They're very interchangeable
yeah,
for me.
love Tina. Love Tina too, by the way. Yeah, Tina Thompson, love her to death. But Cynthia Cooper was my GOAT.
Yeah.
And I will say right now today, unfortunately, not unfortunately in a bad way, but Asia she's now GOAT.
I thought it was interesting she said that all goats have, like, a signature shot or a buzzer beater or a big moment, and she had
They do.
before this
They do.
season, she didn't have one of those, and she finally got it, in the Mercury Game 3, and I thought that was wonderful. Also, I wanted to note that they did ask her about Kathy and the comments that Kathy made about Caitlin Clark in the league, and she said, "I only know Kathy by when she hands me trophies."
Wow.
What?
That, Kathy has a problem.
She has a big
She's got
PR
a
problem,
she has
image
a
problem.
problem. You're not, yeah, you have to connect with your star players.
Yeah.
You have to. You absolutely have to connect with your star players.
At least to the point where they're not bad mouthing you, right? They feel comfortable by saying, "Oh yeah, chatted with Kathy, cool person." Now
Yeah.
you got the face league being like, "I don't know her." I
Yeah.
do not.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah. But I thought that was very beautiful. I mean, a nasty read, a filthy read. I only know her when she's handing me trophies.
That's horrible.
Poor Kathy. But yeah, that's the article. Check it out. Congratulations to our Go Asia Wilson. Excited to see what she does next season. She is training, like there's gonna be a 2026 season. So excited to see what she does next because she doesn't look like she's slowing down anytime soon. We still have a lot of great basketball from Asia. The next time we talk to you at least, we will be talking about hopefully the Iowa and versus Iowa State game. That is, if it's a good game. If it's a bad game, we don't need to talk about it. But really quick before we sign off, Dad, I want to know who you have, Iowa or Iowa State.
I got Iowa State. I watch Audi Crooks, and she's a beast. I don't know who stops her.
I like
Maybe herself. But she and her game, I don't think we've yet to see the top of her game.
mhm.
She elevates her game, when needed, and just have not seen her. I just haven't seen her slow down. I haven't seen her take a night off. I see her play, and so I'm gonna go with Iowa State. I don't know what the money line is on this or the point spread, but I'll take Iowa State.
I'm gonna echo you for all the same reasons as an Audi stan, as an Audi barb. I'm gonna take Iowa State. However, I do not think this will be a blowout by any means. I'm anticipating a good game. They're pretty close in the rankings. They're pretty close in their records. Both are undefeated. But after today, one team will not be undefeated, and I think it will be great fun. But I'm going Iowa State. I'm going with Tyrese Halliburton's alma mater because I'm also a Tyrese Halliburton stan slash barb. So I'm going with that side.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for validating me. Appreciate you.
Hey, hey. Well, no, we're saying the same thing. I mean, we both go up with the same team. I'm the Halliburton piece and all that, whatever. But Audi, oh my God, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Howdy. How dare you not go up for the Tyrese Halliburton of it all? I forget.
Hey,
You're a fake Kings fan. That's right. I keep forgetting that.
well, he's not with the Kings. He's sitting over there in
He
Indiana.
used to be. He was our
Well,
baby. He was our
well,
baby. They traded our
unfortunately,
baby.
look, he's not now.
Look,
Okay, so you gotta stay loyal to the purple. Anybody in a different color uniform, you shouldn't be like praising.
sorry. I'm loyal to certain players when they move on.
Interesting.
Except for 5. But, speaking of which, fun fact, did you know I've learned this on a broadcast the other day that Tyrese Halliburton's dad still referees high school basketball?
Did not know that.
Good for him.
Did not know that. Good for him, for
That's
sure.
cool. Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Thank you for watching and listening, and just enjoy your day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, folks.